Imagine dropping from a freezing glacier at nearly 23,000 feet straight down into a humid subtropical gorge. This vertical drop happens inside the Askot Musk Deer Sanctuary. It is an ecological refuge packed with rare alpine species, operating directly on one of the most highly militarized frontiers in the Indian subcontinent. The sanctuary forms the exact geographic line separating India from Nepal and Tibet. The hydrological divide of the roaring Kali River physically draws the national borders right along the forest edge. This positioning forces two opposing realities to collide. The government must preserve a fragile, ancient ecosystem while simultaneously maintaining hard military security along a sensitive international boundary. To shield protected areas like Askot from commercial mining and industrial runoff, the government designates a legal boundary called an eco-sensitive zone around the forest. On the western side of the sanctuary, this boundary pushes deep into Indian territory, adding a wide protective padding between civilian development and the deep woods. But on the eastern flank, the sanctuary hits the Kali River. Because India cannot legally impose environmental restrictions on the sovereign territory of Nepal, the buffer shrinks to a zero extent. The protective padding vanishes entirely. This loophole provides a massive logistical opening. With no buffer zone on those borders, military engineering units can bypass standard environmental clearances to blast mountainsides and carve critical border roads right against the sanctuary line. When species preservation and military logistics clash at a zero-extent boundary, the map dictates that the environment yields. High above the road construction, in the freezing scrublands, lives the animal this sanctuary was built to protect. The Himalayan musk deer is a solitary ungulate with thick fur and distinct tusks, adapted to survive completely isolated in the snow. Historically, these glaciated moraines have belonged to a single apex predator, perfectly evolved for the extreme cold, the snow leopard. But recently, ecologists have documented something alarming. Massive lowland Bengal tigers are being photographed marching through deep snow at altitudes exceeding 12,000 feet. Rising global temperatures are shifting the thermal baselines of the mountain. Warmer weather pulls temperate forests higher up the slopes, dragging lowland predators into extreme elevations they historically avoided. A warming climate is rapidly dismantling millions of years of altitudinal barriers, forcing tropical and alpine predators into direct competition in a shrinking vertical arena. Down in the sanctuary's dense subtropical canopy lives a microscopic population of indigenous foragers known as the Raji. They are historically cave-dwelling hunter-gatherers, living almost entirely outside the agrarian economy. For centuries, the surrounding region was ruled by powerful feudal landlords and the Katuyuri emperors, whose massive stone temples still define the Kumaon landscape. Despite living in extreme poverty, the Raji hold a powerful origin myth. They believe they are the direct descendants of an elder Askot prince, who abandoned his throne because of a deep affinity for the wild forest. Because they considered themselves displaced royalty, the Raji historically refused to bow or offer customary greetings to anyone they encountered in the region. They recognized exactly one exception, the reigning king of Askot, whom they treated as the direct descendant of their younger brother. This shared mythology functioned as an invisible cultural boundary. It allowed isolated foragers to maintain a pure-level kinship with the region's wealthiest monarchs, demanding mutual respect based entirely on an ancient bloodline. In the remote valleys between the Kali and Dali rivers, the indigenous Rung community takes this connection to the landscape even further. They completely synchronize their cultural history with the biological rhythms of the local flora. Their most important celebration, the Kangdali festival, operates on a strict biological clock. It is only held once every 12 years, coinciding perfectly with the rare blooming cycle of a highly toxic stinging nettle. The festival honors an old folklore about a mother who cursed the poisonous plant after it killed her son. Simultaneously, it serves as a martial commemoration, celebrating the community's historic victory over an invading Dogra army in 1841. The week-long event reaches its climax with a synchronized mock battle. Armed with swords, shields, and heavy wooden weaving tools, the villagers launch a choreographed attack against the blooming shrubs, aggressively severing the stalks and processing their historical trauma through botanical eradication. The Askot landscape forces constant interaction between rigid borders and fluid ecosystems. Whether it is military bulldozers carving the zero-extent edge, lowland tigers pushing into snow leopard territory, or tribal communities processing centuries-old battles against the life cycle of a poisonous plant, this terrain proves that a border is never a static line. It is an active, unyielding frontier.